Okay, I'm here in beautiful Macau, and I'm going to try to answer a very complicated question. What do Macau people feel about the mainland Chinese? Very, very complicated question, and I'm going to start out just letting you know that I come from one perspective, so I can only do kind of hearsay. I'm not a local Macau person, and I'm not a mainland Chinese person either, so I can only talk about what I feel is the case. Okay, so let's get started. Go check out the road. Okay, I'm the content creator for this channel. If you like what I'm doing, just subscribe and hit the like button. Okay, so how do people in Macau think of the mainland? So we're gonna have a very complicated case, but just let's check out the beauty of Macau first. So this is actually the real night sky. So it's actually this deep purple. It's raining all day today, so it's just completely incredible. So I'm going to go through what I think is the experience. So I'm going to start it out with newspapers. A lot of times when you read newspapers, there's a very positive feeling from mainland China and Macau. There seems to be a completely different kind of feeling than with Hong Kong. And I don't want to get into my personal views one way or the other. I'm quite neutral, so I'm not. I don't really have a polarized feeling either way to really adamantly argue anything about this issue. But in general, I feel like a lot of people in Macau, they have a I'm going to go into some of the problems that Hong Kong has, and I think Macau. I'm kind of surprised. I would think Macau should have the same issues, but they don't really seem to express them if they do. But in general, like for Hong Kong, you know, they're going to lose their legal system. They could lose their currency, their monetary system, their internet rights. There's a lot of stuff that they can lose, and then they'll, you know, like so they're very concerned about that in Hong Kong. And I think most people are also afraid of losing, you know, like your legal system, all the systems that you have in place. Like I think all people all over the world are scared of losing those kinds of things. And surprisingly, Macau people don't seem to express that, and I'm not sure exactly why. I do think sometimes at Macau, when they study history here, they don't really study Macau history very much, so a lot of times they don't really know much about the Portuguese history or the history of Macau. So sometimes I meet locals in Macau who don't really know anything about this that was once being Portugal. Like especially the younger generation, they're just not really aware of it somehow. So I'm not really sure why that is, but they just don't really seem to. They also don't really seem to know where things were and where things are going. They just kind of, I don't know what it is. I'm not really sure. I can only guess. Maybe you can throw some ideas of what you think might be the reasoning. But I do know that there's promotions here, you know, like the 20-year back to China kind of stuff. And I think that some Macau people, you know, they're concerned, but they don't seem overly concerned for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why. Some people say it's because of the Portuguese influence and they're just a little bit indifferent, or I don't know. Then I heard another thing that sometimes people will say too is that you know, kind of like United States and Canada, like, you know, United States can must exert force all of the time, and then Canada can kind of benefit from that in whatever way that things go. So, you know, like nobody's going to you know, basically United States is going to be fighting for all the same stuff that Canada basically represents as well, even though there's extremely fundamental differences. But the same in Macau and Hong Kong. Like I think if Hong Kong wins certain things. Okay, let's continue. The camera stopped on me. Let's hope it doesn't again soon. But yeah, so basically there's a lot that Macau can basically win either way, right? Like so either Hong Kong fights for everything and Macau kind of benefits from that, or Hong Kong will lose. And then maybe the fate would be very hard on Hong Kong, but maybe more gentle on Macau because they didn't really, you know, so there's one aspect that could come into play. Another one is that, you know, Macau just generally sees the future with China, which is totally possible. Sometimes when I meet locals, they also will talk about the technology in China and how much more technology there is, like the way they use WeChat for phone stuff, like for money, currency. Like fewer people in China even carry around money anymore. There's so much more advancement with technology. They're building trains, you know, very fast trains that go all the way throughout China. so there's this technology and advancement of China that a lot of people here see, and they're like, that's the future. So we have that element as well of people that are that see that and want to be part of that, and they want to be part of that community. So that's one thing that could be, and I'm just throwing things out there. I'm not saying that any of these are my particular opinion, because they're just things that I hear people talk about, and it maybe gives insight for other people and what they might hear or think or assume. Another thing with this particular city is that it's quite small. Like Hong Kong is a much larger city, so it's the vastness, you know, there's like, was it 8 million people or something like that? So there's something, you know, a significantly higher number, but here it's only 600,000, so it's actually quite small. And so take in mind that, you know, they also feel like there's more necessity of some kind from the outside, and that might mean like basically they built a university in Hengqin, which is part of Macau, and they're also continuing to do more things in Hengqin. And Hengqin's an island that's not very populated at the moment, but it's going to be massively populated in the very near future. And that's something that mainland China is working with Macau to expand the borders here. And once those are expanded, I think it's going to quadruple the size of Macau. And I think they're going to give rights to Macau people as well to buy property in all of that land and space. So they're basically working with Macau on a very big level that, you know, people here don't want to lose. So that might be another factor as well that's involved. So there's a lot of small factors like that, and I think all those things are things that people might have to think about or take into consideration. As far as individual levels of what people think, I think in general, mainland Chinese are more competitive. So if they come into the education systems here, they usually excel. They have much stronger work habits, work ethics, and study habits. And then on the but socially it's different, right? So there's more of it feels like there's still a strong need to socially educate mainlanders on behavior, internationally represented norms of behavior that aren't always present, that people observe. So those are probably the biggest one that people get frustrated about. But I think here people feel like that's all going to change in the future. So we're just kind of waiting to see. I mean, that's probably inevitable as people get more exposed to other places as well. So anyways, those are probably some of the reasons that that might create a little discussion about why Hong Kong seems, you know, what they think about the mainland, and why it seems like why they're quite a bit more mainlander friendly than you'd think that they should be, you know, given all the issues involved. Anyways, hope you enjoyed this one, and let's create a little bit of discussion. And here we are at Sao Domingo, so we'll just end it right here. Chiquinha, chiquinha, toma cuidado da bovidinha.